In Module 1, you learned that rhythm is an arrangement of varying sound durations. Now that you have an understanding of all of the types of durations that exist and how they are notated, we can go more in depth into the discussion of rhythm. Rhythm combines patterns of durations and places them against a steady beat. Rhythms can be completely percussive, that is made 100% of unpitched sounds, or they can have both elements of pitch and duration combined into one entity. In Western music, we tend to group rhythms together in sets of 2s, 3s, or 4s. These groupings are referred to as meter. Meter is the basic recurring rhythmical pattern of note values, accents, and beats per measure in music. An accent is a stress or emphasis that is given to one beat. A measure is one unit of meter, consisting of a number of accented and unaccented beats. You probably have also encountered the concept of meter in poetry, where it refers to the stress pattern of syllables. You will see that much of the terminology that makes up the musical language is borrowed from other subjects, especially grammar. Western musical meters can be duple, triple, or quadruple. If music is in a duple meter, it means that each measure gets 2 beats, and that the first beat is more accented than the second. Remember that a beat is the thing that you tap your foot to. Duple meter would be counted like this: 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. In triple meter, each measure gets 3 beats. The first beat gets the strongest accent. The second beat gets some accent, and the last beat gets little to no accent. Triple meter would be counted like this: 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. In quadruple meter, each measure gets 4 beats. The first beat gets the strongest accent. The third beat is slightly less accented than the first. The second beat gets some accent, and the fourth beat gets little to no accent. Quadruple meter would be counted like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Each beat in a meter can be subdivided. Subdivision is the breaking up of the larger meter into smaller parts. There are 2 types of subdivision: simple and compound. In simple meter, each beat is subdivided into 2 equal parts. So if we, for example, subdivide each beat of duple meter into 2 equal parts, it would be counted like this: 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and. This is called simple duple meter. If the beat is the thing that you tap your foot to, and each motion of your foot to the floor equates to 1 beat, then a simple subdivision can be thought of as the realization that there are 2 distinct motions to tapping your foot: a down motion and an up motion. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and. You can also subdivide triple and quadruple meters, creating simple triple and simple quadruple meters. A different type of subdivision creates compound meter. In a compound meter, each beat is subdivided into 3 equal parts. That means for each beat or each foot tap, 3 equally spaced rhythmic events occur. One way to think of counting this type of subdivision is using rhythm syllables developed by McCose and Tibbs, also known as the Eastman system. In this counting system, the beats still get numbers, but the subdivisions are given the syllables la and li. For example, compound duple meter would be counted 1 la li, 2 la li, 1 la li, 2 la li. There are numerous rhythm counting syllable systems such as Kadai, Gordon, Eastman, and Takadimi, and it is good to be familiar with all systems. You can also subdivide triple and quadruple meters in a compound manner, creating compound triple and compound quadruple meters. Now that you have learned the basic concepts of meter, let's look at how meter is notated using symbols. A single unit of meter is a measure. Measures are indicated on the staff with bar lines. A bar line is a vertical line that is drawn perpendicularly through the staff. Bar lines help us to visually break up music notation. Bar lines did not come into existence until about 1600, so if you come across music written before 1600 that has bar lines, it means that early music notation has been edited into the more standardized modern notation. The space between each bar line represents the measure itself. There are a few types of special bar lines that tell us where we are in the music. A double bar line is a set of two vertical lines drawn perpendicularly through the staff. A double bar line indicates the end of one section of a larger piece of music. A final bar line is the last bar line of a composition. Notice that the second line is thicker than the first. A final bar line indicates the end of a piece. We use a numerical symbol called a meter signature to indicate the type of meter that a piece of music is in. A meter signature, also called a time signature, is a number stack that indicates whether a piece is in duple, triple, or quadruple meter and what duration value gets the beat. The numbers on the top and bottom of a meter signature each give us different information. Let's look at the 3/4 meter signature. The top number, 3, represents how many beats will occur in one measure. In this case, there will be 3 beats in one measure. The bottom number indicates what duration value gets the beat. The number 4 represents the quarter note. Here's how we determine what note value that bottom number indicates. The bottom number relates to the divisions of the whole note that you learned in Module 3. When we divide the value of a whole note, 4 beats, by the bottom number indicated here, 4, we get 1 beat. The duration that gets 1 beat is the quarter note. The meter signature, 3/4, tells us that there are 3 beats in each measure and that the quarter note gets the beat. Let's look at another meter signature example, 4/2. The top number, 4, tells us that in each measure there will be 4 beats. Again, we relate the bottom number to a division of the whole note. If we divide the value of the whole note, 4 beats, by the number indicated here, 2, we get 2 beats. The duration value that gets 2 beats is the half note. Therefore, there are 4 beats in the measure, and the half note gets the beat. In order to determine if a piece is in simple or compound meter, we need to infer some information from the meter signature. Simple meters always have a 2, 3, or 4 as the top number of the number stack. The early example, 3/4, is in simple meter. Each of the 3 beats in the measure can be divided into 2 equal eighth notes. Compound meters always have 6, 9, or 12 as the top number of the number stack. An example of a compound meter is 6/8. Using the method we learned earlier would then tell us that there are 6 beats in a measure and that the eighth note gets the beat. This isn't quite right though. Most often, due to tempo considerations, we don't count each eighth note with one foot tap. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Instead, we group the 6 eighth notes together into 2 groups of 3, and we count 1 lolly, 2 lolly, 1 lolly, 2 lolly, and only tap our foot twice in a measure. So actually, in 6/8 meter, there are 2 beats in a measure, and the dotted quarter, which is equal to 3 eighth notes, gets the beat. So in compound meter, there is some additional calculation that must be completed in order to determine what beat you will tap your foot to, or what conducting pattern you will use. From the example we just did, we can create an inference pattern for determining the actual meter information from a compound meter signature. Let's look at that 6/8 meter again. Instead of counting it with 6 eighth note beats, we actually should count it as 2 dotted quarter note beats per measure. For any compound meter, if we divide the top number by 3, we'll get the actual number of beats in the measure. 6 divided by 3 equals 2 beats per measure. And if we add 3 of the bottom duration values together, we'll get the duration value of the beat. 3/8 notes equals 1.5 beats, which is equivalent to a dotted quarter note. Let's try this method with another compound meter, 12/8. First, divide the top number by 3. 12 divided by 3 equals 4. There are 4 beats in a measure. The bottom number represents the same duration value as the previous example, a dotted quarter note. So in 12/8 meter, there are 4 beats per measure, and the dotted quarter note gets the beat. Finally, 2-meter signatures have symbolic associations other than a number stack. 4/4 meter can be designated by this symbol and is referred to as common time. 2/2 meter can be designated by this symbol and is referred to as cut time or Alla Breve. Both of these symbols are remnants of medieval music notation. Review each meter signature from this module. You need to become familiar enough with each one so that you can instantly know what each tells you about the number of beats per measure and which duration value gets the beat.